Later, a very, very special guest from the Fab Four.
He was part of one of the biggest bands in the world. Now the Beatles' Ringo Starr is joining us on Studio 10. Just what will happen when Joe comes face to face with his biggest idol?
Joe?
You won't want to miss this. That's all ahead on Studio 10.
Ringo Starr is releasing his 19th solo album today. It is called Give More Love, and we're listening to it right now. Well, it's a huge thrill to say, Ringo Starr, welcome to Studio 10.
Thank you. Studio 10. My dream has come true.
Last year you said that you were taking 2017 off, but you've got this new album and an American tour, so what caused your holiday to be cut short?
Yeah. Well, you know, last year I did 3 tours, and I thought, well, okay, 3, you know, I'm going to take a whole year off. I've never taken a whole year off. And then I thought, well, you know, I can finish that album that I vaguely started in 2016. And it started in, like, March with Dave Stewart, because we wrote How Could I Be So Wrong for So Long? Because in June, we were going to go to Nashville to make a country record. And what happened was that they offered me the tour, so I went on tour through the summer, and then I went on tour again in the autumn. So I thought, I'm going to finish my record, I'm going to make a record, and I made it in LA, in the guest house. And anyway, I said, I'm taking 2017 off, but by the 12th of January, I told my people, they offered me a tour in October, November, so I said, I'm going to take it. So the year off consisted of making my record, finishing the record, having a holiday, coming to England to see my kids, going back to go on tour. So that's how it went. So the holiday was great, and that was enough of that. And, you know, I love my kids, so we have to come to England. That's where I am now, to see them. They all live here with my grandkids. And then I go back next week and start preparing to go on tour.
We were just grooving to some of your new song, Give More Love. It sounds absolutely incredible. Spreading love and joy. It's very personal to you.
Yeah. Well, peace and love, I mean, it started in the 60s. You know, you weren't even born then. But anyway, you know, the whole change, a lot of changes went on in the 60s, musically, of course, with us. And attitude-wise, you know, with fashion, with photographers, and then we get to the hippie period, and the peace and love period, and the flower power period. And, you know, the Beatles were big supporters of that movement, and anyway, I've just carried it on, really. It's not something I invented, so peace and love to you and everyone in Australia.
Oh, thank you, Ringo, and it is so great to chat to you. Now, the track Show Me the Way is dedicated to your wife, Barbara, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. I wrote you know, she's mentioned in a lot of songs. Yep. I mean, the other song on there for her was She's the King of the Kingdom, but I'm in charge of the band. And anyway, I wanted to write a beautiful song about our lives. 37 years we've been together, and, you know, there is a line in there, you know, we wiped each other's tears, you know, we smiled together, we cried together. And, you know, there are ups and downs in any relationship, but underneath all that, you know, there's a love fest. So that's how we get through it. Anyway, I wrote this song and with Steve Lukather, and I just thought, you know, this would be a beautiful song for her, and that's how it came about.
And it is indeed a beautiful song. And also, as you mentioned, you've been married to your wife for almost 40 years. How on earth do you make a rock and roll marriage last that long? I mean, that's almost unprecedented.
Well, I don't know what the secret is. This is what happened. My first marriage was 10 years, and this one's 37, so I've been married quite a long time in this life. I don't know. I mean, you have to, you know, there's a lot of... It's like waves, you know, there's waves of this, waves of that, and, you know, I mean, sometimes we have a bad day because Barbara isn't psychic enough to know how I feel. You know, but it's a great life, you know, to have that much time with somebody. We know each other really well, but, you know, life goes on. Anyway, the good news is I wrote that song, I finished it, and I played it to her, and she loved it, so there's a plus.
That's important, very important.
Talking of partnerships and marriages, we're excited to know that Paul McCartney's featured on this new album. How has your musical relationship with him evolved over the years?
Well, you know each other really well. We played together really well, and we played a lot. And, you know, everyone thinks it's a surprise because he's on my record. It's not really. He's been on another record of mine. He's been on a couple of records of mine. I've been on a couple of his solo albums. And anyway, as I wrote this song, Show Me the Way, I just wanted him as the bass player. Because he's the most beautiful bass player in the world.
Yep.
And I have another great bass player on the record called Nathan Easton. I would always tell Nathan, "You're number 2." Which he loved to hear. He loved to hear it. So Paul, I just felt, you know, that's what I do when I'm producing it. I sort of want musicians I think will fulfill that space in the record, you know. And this time it turned out great, but, you know, he's an incredible melodic bass player. And besides, you know, we have a lot of history, and, you know, we still hook up. You know, a couple of years ago, we did the Grammys together. We did that Beatles show with everyone doing our songs. And it's not like, but it's always a surprise to everybody when we do anything together. It's like, oh, you're still together, you know?
Yes, there is a bit of history there. Speaking of that, can I take you back to that incredible tour of Australia in 1964 with the Beatles? What are your memories of that? It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, my memories were that I got off the plane and I felt, I mean, it was a long, long flight. And the day before, I got out of hospital because I had my tonsils out. Oh. But what I remember was the reception was incredible. And, you know, then we were on that balcony waving down to everybody. And I don't know if I was dreaming, but it looked like to me that some guy was down there with that huge crowd, and I just was focusing on him, and he had crutches, and he sort of threw his crutches away. And he fell to the floor.
Now, you worked with John Stevens, who has been on our show a lot. Tell us how you met John.
Yeah, well, I met John through Dave Stewart. I'm plugging John. I'm plugging your damn record for you here. And I went out to dinner. Well, we didn't even go out. We went to Dave Stewart's house for dinner. And John was there, so that's where we really met. And it just happened that John sang all through dinner.
How
Go
rude.
figure.
And there's so many great artists as well on this new album. Are there any new artists that you want to work with?
Oh, I'm working with them. In all honestly, I'm working with them. You know, if you look at the credits on their album, all great musicians. If you look at the All-Star Band, great musicians. You know, you know, usually I have the All-Stars, we turn it over. I've kept this band for going on 5 years because it works so well. So, you know, I hope we bring it to Australia.
Ringo Starr, it has been a huge honour to have you on Studio 10. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you. Peace and love, brother.
Ringo Starr's album, Give More Love, is out today.